Welcome in, everyone. We've got sound. Hope everybody's super well today. We are on the second to last one here, which is crazy. Only two more left, this one and another one. So, of course, we've got remaining. We've got internal rotation today, external rotation on Monday, and then we wait until Saturday for the shoulder mobility immersion to begin. So I want to say hello to everybody that's in chat. What's up, Vicky? Welcome in. Do I put clocks back 1 hour tonight, as we do in the UK? Hey Siri, when is daylight savings?
Daylight saving time ends on November 6th, 2022, and will begin on March 12th.
Okay, so not until Sunday of next week for us. So the time difference will be, I guess, 1 hour different than normal for Monday, okay? For you in the UK. Thanks for asking. What's up, Steph? What's up, Mikhail? Hello. And so same for you as well, Steph. Ada, thank you. Hello, welcome in. Hello, Jackie. Andriana, hello. Nice to have you here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Monday will be a different time for everybody in the UK, and it looks like Europe as well. So just mark that on your calendar. And then Saturday, that means November 5th, will still be that different time from the usual for everybody. And then starting on the 7th, Monday to the 7th, November 7th, for the shoulder mobility immersion will begin. It'll be, I guess, back to your normal time shift, since we will in the United States be shifting at that time as well. Okay, so let's begin. We're gonna work with internal rotation today of the thigh bones. And just to review the muscles that create internal rotation, we have the TFL, tensor fascia lata, is a big one. The front fibers of the gluteus medius and minimus. We have the pectineus, adductor longus, and brevis will help with the internal rotation as well. I'm just thinking about anything I missed. It's kind of tricky, but I'll just mention it. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time or not, but when in deep flexion, your piriformis actually becomes an internal rotator. If that matters to you, maybe some of you might be interested in that, but your piriformis is an internal rotator when you're in a certain degree of hip flexion. So likely today, I think piriformis will be participating in the posture we're working towards. What's up, Christian? Welcome in. Good to have you here. So let's get started. We will begin. Let me just think real quick. Give me a moment. Okay, yeah, let's come to all fours, hands and knees. On all fours, we'll do just a few cat and cows to get the spine awake. Inhale, arch, stretch the belly long by pulling the ribs forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. And lift your left knee up off the ground. Pull it into the hip socket without the knee drifting back. So keep the knee forward using your hip flexors. Now rotate the thigh bone in and look at your foot. You'll see that the foot is out to the side when your thigh bone is rotated in. Keep the hip up. So thigh bone sucked into the hip socket and forward. So flexion and internal rotation. Take a full breath in and then release. Thigh back down, knee back down onto the ground. Second side, just kind of like yesterday's class in those uttanasanas where I had you hike or vacuum the thigh bone up into the hip socket. Let's do it on the right side. Make sure you don't drift like I just did to the left. Keep weight even in both hands, or maybe a little more towards the right. Keep your right thigh bone sucked into the right hip socket. Now spin the right thigh bone in. As you do so, you'll probably drift back a little bit, so keep the thigh bone forward in hip flexion with this internal rotation, and just acknowledge, if you look at the foot is out to the side even though you're in internal rotation, and that's because there's a 90-degree angle at your knee joint right now because the knee is bent. If the leg was straight, the foot wouldn't be out to the side, it would be turned in, but because we're bent, and that's an important thing to not get confused about, okay? Let's place the knee back down. Inhale, arch the back, look up. As you exhale, move back, downward facing dog, hips up and back. Lift the heels up, bend the knees, spin the thighs outward externally, and as if you're gonna go back into almost a diamond-like shape with the legs, your toes are turned out, knees are turned out. This is external rotation. Let's switch it. Lift the heels up, spiral the thigh bones inward, turn the toes to face one another more, and heels outward. Okay, thigh bones rotated in, upper thighs, kneecaps, shins, and toes are all facing towards the midline, and the heels are separating outward. Now push the heels out isometrically, so like you're trying to widen your heels even more, and you should feel your TFL activating and the front fibers of gluteus medius and minimus activating. Okay, and if you thought from the insides of your legs, like think about turning the big toes toward each other more, like you're almost squeezing in but rotating from the front side of your legs, toes turning in, shins turning in, then you're gonna get your adductors engaged and participating in this rotation. Okay, walk the feet to the front of the yoga mat. When you get there, let's take a half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. Give the shoulders a break. Just gonna stretch after all those down dog. That long down dog. Stretch your shoulders. All right, hands to the hips. Please arch the back, rise all the way up to stand. Tadasana. One breath in, and a breath out. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow to the earth. Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Left foot back, exhale. Okay, now with the left foot back, turn the left thigh bone in and see if you can get to the outside edge of your back foot, okay, so that the toes are turned in as much as you can go. Now you can turn your front toes out a little bit. That will help so that you're not tweaking the right knee. And just look at the left leg. Now, what you're trying to do to strengthen the inner thighs, the adductors in internal rotation, you'll place your hands probably on blocks on the second or highest height out in front, lean forward, and with the left thigh internally rotated, right thigh externally rotated, so you can see here, you're gonna just lift the left leg a few times while it's in internal rotation. Okay, using your adductors, I'm gonna do 5, and then place the foot back down, spin both legs to be parallel, and rise up to high lunge. Open up, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Back toes a little turned in today, and that will enable us to kind of create a little more internal rotation of the back thigh. So think of the inner thigh bone, the back inner thigh bone going back, and the back hamstring lifting up to the sky, while the front knee will try to go with it. So keep your front knee over the heel as you press down, activating the external rotators of the front hip. Spin the back thigh bone inward, arms out to the sides, gaze over the front hand. Let's do 3 breaths. One more. Reverse warrior inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground. Spin the back pelvis closed, straighten through the front leg, look forward. Exhale and bow forward. Let's do a breath in and out. Inhale, bend the knee, look up, blocks aside. Exhale, downward facing dog. Forward plank pose, inhale. Chaturanga. Slide hands and feet wider. Inhale, lift the front body. Soften, melt the middle back. Now pull the rib cage forward, stretch the belly long. Lift up through the heart, up through the back of the skull. Exhale, release. Plank or all fours, inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Full breath in. And out. Let's take the right leg to the sky again, inhale. Step right foot forward, exhale. Place the fingers out in front. Warrior 3 preparation. And bend the standing leg. Place the hands on the front thigh. So now you're in another version of Warrior 3 prep with hands on thighs. And we're going to go into internal rotation of the standing hips. So spin the whole torso to the right. The left leg, of course, is attached to the torso now. We're not going to keep it drifting in. We'll keep it going with the torso. So now you're in internal rotation. Step the left foot next to the right, and if you do so, you should see that your left foot now and right toes are chained towards each other, okay? Now let's try to extend back out without losing that internal rotation of the right leg. And then step the left foot back, so you're trying to maintain very slow, controlled movements, the right leg staying in internal rotation. It's really the right leg is staying where it is, right? But the pelvis is spun in such a way that creates the relationship of internal rotation. Let's do 2 more of these controlled movements. So the torso is towards the right. One more. Okay, there is the abductor muscles, and I also felt piriformis involved in that as well. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow to the earth. Half lift, inhale. Step the right foot back. Okay, spin the back thigh inward. And you're gonna have to, in order to accommodate that, for most people, I do, turn the left foot out. Otherwise, there's too much, for me, too much tweak at the knee joint because the outer hips are pulling on the thigh. So I turn the toes out. You can just kind of assess for yourself. And then again, we're gonna grab the blocks. With the hands a little bit out in front. Come forward, and with the back thigh bone internally rotated, do 5 lifts. Keep the thigh bone internally rotated as you do so, and this will target the adductors of the back leg. Now, if you're not very internally rotated in the back leg, you'll feel it more in the hamstrings, and the higher you go, the more the leg will externally rotate, and then you'll get more hamstrings. But nonetheless, try to keep internally rotated as you go, and see if you can make it be adductor muscles. Okay, place the foot back down, adjust both feet, straighten through the legs, and bow forward. Blocks can go aside for now. Enjoy a full breath in, and a full breath out. Bend the knee. Step to down dog as you exhale. Forward plank, inhale. Lower. Slide hands and feet wide. Thigh bones are internally rotated, but they're wide. Inhale, lift the front body. Exhale, soften. Pull the chest forward. Lift the belly up. Exhale, release. Plank pose, inhale. Exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky. Step forward. Okay. Warrior 3 preparation. Then bend your left knee, hands to the thigh, come up. Other variation of Warrior 3 preparation. And spin the standing thigh bone inward. Of course, the thigh bone doesn't move, the pelvis rotates, okay? So pelvis rotates around the left thigh bone. Now just look down at your left toes and place the right foot next to the left, and you should see that the right thigh bone is internally rotated, right? So we try to keep that, or we should see that basically the thighs are both turned in towards each other as you extend the right leg back behind you, though it's really the standing leg that we're working with internal rotation. Okay, then step the right foot. I'm just showing you which way the pelvis is. Okay, step and see if now the next 3 or so you can step without putting weight on your right foot. So you really focus on strengthening the left internal rotators, keeping the pelvis as is. Now it would be even more intense if you took your hands off, something like this, because now your hands can't be doing the work. Oh yes, way more intense. Okay, standing up. Whew. Inhale, reach the arms up. Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale. Let's just take a knee bend actually. Both hands to the thighs. Move the hips back a little bit. And let's do this. So cross your hands so that you're going to grab the inner thighs here with your hands, and you'll push out so much that your knees actually widen. And then as you push out, squeeze in with your thighs and rotate in as you do so. So you can actually lift your heels up a little, and as the heels go up, spin the thigh bones in more, and you should feel, I just got a cramp in TFL. If you do get a cramp, externally rotate your legs actively and then come back into the internal rotation. And then if you keep getting cramped, like I just did, go back and forth until you can get these muscles active, internally rotating the thigh bones into the pressure of your hands. Okay, and then stand up. So you should have the adductors participating there. Okay, regular chair pose. Inhale. Exhale, bow forward. Half lift, inhale. Left foot steps back as you exhale. Rise, high lunge, inhale. Open up, warrior 2. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, side angle preparation. Slide your right hand down to the inside of the right foot, could be on a block. A little arch of the spine, curl back, left hand to the sky. Let's do 2 more breaths. Okay, left hand to the ground, back knee comes down, lizard pose, right foot a little to the right and slightly turned out. Now, you could use blocks underneath your forearms as you come down here. And what we're gonna try to do is squeeze the right thigh into the chest like so. So squeeze the right knee and thigh into the chest, and then try to recognize if your foot stays where it is, when you squeeze in, it's actually rotation of the thigh bone. If you want to accentuate the rotation, lift your right heel up, and you can actually spin your thigh more right into the chest. So right now I'm only on the ball mound of my foot, okay, and I'm spinning the thigh bone internally into my chest and shoulder here, okay. So hopefully you're getting your abductor, TFL, the front fibers of the gluteus medius and minimus, and the adductors as you spin the thigh bone in to squeeze into your chest. Okay, of course, if you're up here, it's the same thing. Spin the thigh bone in to your tricep. Okay, so wherever you are, you can work this action of spinning the thigh bone in. Okay, release. Now spin the thigh bone out by letting the knee go out. Because the foot is fixed, it's a rotation. There's some abduction that happens, but it's a rotation of the thigh bone. Get a little bit of a stretch. All right. Step into Malasana squat pose. And take your elbows to the inner knees. Keep your hips up tall. And then think about squeezing in from rotating in. So think about rotating the thighs in to squeeze in. Your hips will lift up. So you could just squeeze in side to side, but I want you to think about rotating the femur heads inward. And if you need to, you can lift your heels up a little to do so. And of course, you see how high up my hips are. I'm not sitting down into a low squat. It would be very difficult if I was, okay? Now take the left hand. You can relax for a second in the squat. Left hand down, right hand to the right knee. And now with your left shoulder, push out into the left knee and shin and thigh. And then with the left knee, squeeze back in and think about rotating inward. And as you do so, your hips will have to lift up to get any sort of movement in the joint, that little micro movement. Okay, let's do the other side. Right hand goes down, left hand to the thigh. Again, your right shoulder pushes out into the right knee, and then try to think about rotating the right thigh bone internally into the arm bone. Okay, and release. Turn the toes in, thighs in. Press the backs of the legs apart, half lift. Exhale, bow. Rise up to the sun, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, bow. Half lift, inhale. Step the right foot back. High lunge, inhale nice and tall. Open warrior two. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, side angle preparation. Groins and hips go back. Slide the left fingers to the inside. A little bit of a low back bend, curl around, and then open up. Let's do two more breaths. Okay, release, hands to the ground, back knee down, lizard. Make a little space, left foot out to the left. Again, you can place your forearms or hands stay where they are, or forearms to a block if you have the range of motion there in the hips. Lift your left knee up and spin your left thigh bone inward into your chest. Okay, so left thigh spins in, and you'll feel your adductor muscles activate. And if you are spinning from the outer hips as well, you'll feel those muscles activate. So I'm shaking a little bit because I'm really trying to spin in and clamp my knee and thigh into my shoulder from the action. My heel is still lifted a little bit to enable that, but you could have the heel down too. That's fine. You're just trying to spin the thigh bone into your shoulder. Your shoulder pushes out. Okay. Now let's step back actually this time into down dog. So come to all fours, downward dog. Okay, take the knees to the ground. We're gonna take 90-90 position here from what we did last time. So just adjust your legs accordingly. Hands can be forward, turn the chest, and let's try to activate the back internal rotators. So lean forward to give yourself a break because it can be really difficult without this. Lean forward and then try to internally rotate. That would lift the back foot up. You could also use your hand and recognize, okay, that's how much passive flexibility I have, and this is how much active mobility I have. Okay, it's a lot less, right? So most of us have more mobility or more flexibility than we do mobility. Mobility means that we have the strength to create the movement. Whereas here, this is my strength to create the movement. This is my passive flexibility, much different, right? Okay, switching. Again, lean forward, make this a little bit easier on ourselves. As you lean forward, press the right knee down, try to lift the right foot up. Again, this will be your active range of motion. Your passive range of motion is if you use an outside force like this, that's how much passive range of motion I have there. This is how much active range of motion I have. So room for growth there, room for growth. Sometimes pulsing is helpful to really wake up the muscles. If just sustaining it can get tiring and boring for the mind, and so you get fatigued, your efforts get fatigued, and then you stop doing actions. Okay, come on out. All right, now take a block between the thighs, strap around the ankles. Strap should be wider than hip width apart. Mine's a little bit narrow, but because mine's broken and I'm tying it into knots, I'm just gonna leave it as is. Okay, now come on up to boat. While you pull the strap apart, squeeze the block inward. So you're squeezing the block, pulling the strap apart, okay? And that's internal rotation. So long as the strap is wider than your knees, you're in internal rotation. Squeezing the block, internally rotating the thighs by pulling the strap apart and squeezing the block. That'll get both the inner thighs and the outer hips active. If you want, you can internally rotate and straighten your legs. Your big toes should be facing each other like a diamond shape. Okay, and then come on out. Ah, yes, TFL, hello, how are you? Good to connect with you today. Okay, because you're in hip flexion and internal rotation, that's gonna be a lot of TFL activation. Okay, so now let's go to the wall, and let's see what we can do here. Stand close. You're gonna have to hold the block for this one, but it's just there just in case. Okay, so just hold it gently, but don't really use your hand. And you'll squeeze the block into the wall so that hopefully without your hand it stays there. And then you'll internally rotate and externally rotate. Internal, external, okay? Let's do about 3, let's do 10. Adjust with your hand, the block if you need to. Come on the internal rotation, I want to let go of the block. Yes, come on. Not much available there. Okay, oh, that's a great drill. If you have a Bosu ball, you can do it with a Bosu ball. It's usually easier to keep the Bosu ball on the wall than it is to keep a block. I did most of that with just barely touching, if not, sometimes I didn't touch the block at all on that drill. So, play around with it. See if you can pin it to the wall without using your hand. That's the best, because that means the whole time that you're using your adductors, whether you're internally or externally rotated. Okay, so we try the other side. We pin it to the wall, the hand's there for just in case. I internally, and more rotation on this one. Internally and externally, about 10. If you can't do 10, but you can do 7, then do 7. Pinning, I'm doing it without the hand this round, which is quite nice. You can see my right internal rotators. It's very obvious this class. My right internal rotators are much stronger than the left. It's something I wasn't quite aware of. I am now. So these drills can really reveal a lot to us when we do them. Okay, let's come to 90-90 again, except we're gonna do something a little different. Pull the right heel into your groin. Okay, the right heel into the groin. And bring your left leg up as if you're just chilling. Okay, take your hands down into the ground, either side of the knee here, pretty wide, very wide actually. My right hand isn't even on the mat. You can see that there. Okay, let me just change my view so I can make sure. Okay, cool. Now, with the left elbow, you're gonna bend it and relax it down. And then you'll lean your chest towards the right knee like so, and spin the left thigh into internal rotation. And then out. This is the same drill you just did at the wall, but of course now a little bit more complex. So you're going internal and external. Internal, external. Internal, external. We'll do one more. So I think I did 5 there. Aim for 5. Of course, we can keep going for up to 10 or whatever your body allows you to do, depending on your endurance. So it's kind of like taking chilling at the beach, but another variation. I know a lot of you know my chilling at the beach poses. But so if you're not sure, go to 90-90 first. Bring the front heel towards the groin, and the back leg off to the side, and you should be in a fairly good position. Hands, I have my right hand, which is the arm that's inside the right leg, on the mat, and then my left hand is off the mat at this point. And it's gonna give me a little bit room when the hands are wide to move forward. If the hands are too narrow, it's gonna stifle me, my movement. So wide, it's gonna allow me to lean forward a lot more. Okay, so I lean forward with my torso, and now start when I do that, it bends my right elbow. You see that? So as I lean forward, my right elbow now becomes a shelf. So I do about 5 internal, external. Interesting, interesting. So this is my stronger side, but it is harder to do it, this drill in particular, and that must be because I'm in deep hip flexion, and so I'm fighting a little bit of tightness. Interesting. Fun things to figure out. Like, even though this is the stronger one, it's harder to do this particular drill on the right side. Okay. So, should have that dialed in now. Let's do a standing exercise, very similar. Okay. Get back on our feet. We'll do a simple one to start, and then we'll take it up a notch. The simple one, hands to the right knee, left foot out to the side, and thigh bone spins in and out. So we go in, out, and it's good to say it: internal, external, internal, external, internal, external. Switch sides. You're gonna find a lot more of your range of motion here, okay, because this is active mobility, but you're not really fighting against any outside forces. So you're not fighting against gravity, you're not fighting against other muscles really. So it's not that difficult for us to get our mobility in this shape like it was in 90-90, where we were fighting gravity quite a bit. We're also fighting the position of the hips and other muscles. Okay, so now same thing, but with the leg out to the side and lifted. Now we're gonna fight gravity. It'll be a little bit more difficult for us. Hands to the right knee, left leg comes up, keep the hip flexed, okay? And then we go external, internal. You'll notice that there's a lot more external than internal, right? The foot doesn't go up as high as it goes down. I mean, anterior tilt the pelvis. That's 5. Ooh, that last one didn't go up high. Okay, I think that was 10. 10 is enough for me. Whew. Feel the heat, the weird sweats just came underneath the skin. So when you're doing internal, the knee and the back foot needs to go up above the knee for it to be internal rotation. So, I'm lucky I have this monitor right above my lens here that allows me to see if my foot is actually going up. You might have to video yourself to see, or have a mirror to see if you're doing what you think you're doing. Because it's very easy when doing drills like this to kind of cheat it and be like, well, I'm putting effort in, so I must be doing the action. But really you want to do the action to your fullest extent so that you can build strength. Like we're not putting extra weight on, so we're just fighting gravity and ourselves, really body weight training. And to really strengthen while doing body weight training, you have to go beyond what you think you can do. Otherwise, because that normally you would do that by adding more weight. In body weight training, you have to find ways of increasing the movement or repetitions, or but usually it's getting further than you thought you could go, strength-wise, not flexibility-wise, please. Okay, so hands on the left thigh, and we take the right leg, abduct it, bend the knee a little bit more, and spin the right thigh bone out internally and externally, keeping the leg high as you go. And think about the foot going up as high as it can. Okay, when the foot goes up, that's internal. I got a little bit of weak there. Don't let the leg drift back behind you either like this. That won't be doing anything for you. Okay. Oh. Okay, intense, intense. Get those outer hips engaged. All right, let's do eagle pose at the wall while the hips are nice and hot. So you can take your hand sideways to the wall. My right leg is closest to the wall, right arm is closest to the wall. So I'm gonna take my left leg up, hike the hip up, cross over, and if you can, double hook. If you have the double hook, you can stay here, or you can start to turn back to center, sit low. Optionally, I know this is not a shoulders immersion, so we haven't really done much here, but optionally you can double bind the arms or just hug yourself with your arms. Let's do 3 breaths. Hands to the wall to come out and release. Give yourself a moment. Okay, let's switch sides. Left foot face, well, left side of the body towards the wall. Take the right hip up, right leg up. Cross over, bend your left knee, sit on down. If it's possible to double hook, then do so. You might stay here or turn back to center, okay? If you are back to center and you want to double bind the arms, the right arm underneath the left. Again, it's not a shoulders immersion, so you may not be there, of course. We haven't done anything really for the shoulders. So you can just hug yourself with your arms, sit down low, and we do 3 breaths. Align the arms, turn to the wall, come on out. Woo! Tadasana at the top. Let's just hang for one more breath. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Half lift, inhale. And step the left foot back, and then the right foot to down dog. Forward to plank pose, inhale. Lower chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, 3-part cobra. Soften. Pull the chest forward, lift the belly up, get long, and release. Come to all fours. And let's take the mat, bring it back a little bit. You can, best thing to do would be, actually, you know what, most of you don't even need to move your mat. I was only gonna do it for the camera's sake, but you know what, I can do it. But just grab your socks. I think we can do it from this angle would be fine. Yeah. Okay, so grab your socks and put the socks on. And let's do a little bit of sliding to start this ascent, if you will. Okay, so first things first. The right leg, we're gonna cross over the right arm, okay? If it doesn't want to get there, we can do a deeper stretch here. A couple of things you can do is do like just prime the hip back like this, okay? And this will get us ready to get the leg over the arm because it needs to go over the elbow right here. Okay, there needs to have this opportunity, okay? And then you place, so you see my right hand is down and my elbow is sticking out here. So I have a little shelf. If it's down here, this is gonna be very difficult, okay? So you wanna bring it up as high as you can. Okay, I recognize it requires a bit of flexibility and lizard pose is a great one for that, okay? And then you'll lean forward, turn this leg in and your foot will go out, okay? And then you can kind of feel the top of the thigh bone. I'm doing this several times. You can try this several times. The top of the thigh bone squeezes into the arm. Once you have it a few times, you can prime it and then hold it. You can now lean your torso forward and pull your butt and hips back and slide. And this leg, right leg, is internally rotating, especially as the hips go back. Okay, so getting that coordination, I mean, that was, obviously a fast version of it and a refined version that I've practiced over time. But getting that coordination of bowing forward and pulling the hips back is the first step. And as you pull the hips back, if you can, spin the right leg just like you did here, right? This is the action. Just as you pull the hips back, you're gonna do that action. So you can try that if you haven't already. If you're waiting for the demo, of course, go ahead and do it now. Don't forget to prime the hip. Get the leg up as high as you can. Okay, and then you work on spinning the left thigh bone in to your shoulder. Okay, and then you try to coordinate that this leg turns in when you pull the hips back. So you bow the head and chest forward, pull the hips back, as I wouldn't do the coordination there. Left leg a little bit slow to the punch. Hips go back, turn the left thigh in. And you see the foot goes out. Definitely some core work involved in there. Some abdominal activity that keeps you kind of in that, that big boat-like shape that we did the other day, right? So we did that big sort of extended boat variation. And that's basically what's happening in the straight leg and your torso is you're trying to find that flexion of the hips and spine all at one time. Now, perhaps the next one might, for some of you, feel a little bit easier. Let me think, there is a second step here. Give me a second to recall. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so now you do it with a bent knee. And what's gonna happen is your foot's gonna slide back towards your hand. Okay, so at first I start almost like I'm in Baddha Konasana. And the top leg's gonna turn in as the hips go up and back. And you see how this foot lands kind of like right on top of the hand there. And then I go back. Okay, it's basically going kind of like 90-90, but I'm staying in Baddha Konasana position, but this leg goes to 90-90, right? That's pretty much the position that you're ending up in. You're ending up in this position here, but with this leg up on a shelf. So to show you from the other side, and you can just, at any point in time, if you need to pause the video, please do. If I'm going too fast here, I'll give you a little bit of time after I do this demo. So watch again. It's a little fun seesaw. And if you treat it like that, if you treat it like it's just a little fun drill, you'll probably get a lot more out of it than if you're, trying to just bully your body into the shape. But just kind of treat it as a little bit of fun seesaw back and forth. See if you can kind of feel a little bit of that swing of the top leg internally rotating. Yeah, and I'm seeing it. This is a good angle, actually. You can see the upper leg really internally rotating. And that's just a testament. Of course, the hips have to go back, but the internal rotation strength of the top hip is helping pull the hips back. So they're working as a coordinated unit, as a team, to create the lift off. And that's what's going to create the full expression of this pose. So I'm gonna pause myself for a moment. I want to give you some time to work on that, so I don't barrel through this too much here. Okay, now the next one, we don't need socks for. You can keep them on, doesn't make a difference. And it's really the same drill, except instead of sliding the bottom foot with the motion, you're gonna actually have the foot across on top of the other foot. So for some of you, this might actually be the easier of all three drills so far, which would be great. Real fun drill is whoa, it's hot. Awesome. Okay, so this one, you cross the ankle, the bottom ankle over the top ankle, and it becomes like a shelf. Now the left arm is holding both legs, okay? And all you do is lean your chest forward. You could have a nice big couch cushion in front of you for safety, of course. Your chest goes forward and your hips go back. Okay, you may not get that much at first, but you just try to get a little bit of lift off, okay? Now, to get a lot of lift off, the top leg will have to internally rotate, okay? So just try it without the internal rotation. See if you can lean forward. And just as you lean forward, you push with your arms, of course, as if you're doing a push-up. Just push. As you lean forward and do a push-up, your arms are bent. They have to stay bent. But the push action is what keeps you lifted. So you lean forward and push with your arms and pull your butt back. Okay? I'm finding that the stickiness of the mat is making this even more difficult. So you might want to take the mat away so that you can slide your butt back and not have to worry about that friction on the yoga mat. Okay, so I gotta slow down and make sure I give you time to do these actions. Okay, so the next one is the same thing, but with internal rotation of the top leg. So you'll see that this will provide me, as I clamp the legs, I not only pull my hips back and lean my chest forward, but I turn my thigh bones inward and they'll clamp together on the arm. So watch that. Lean my chest forward, pull my hips back, turn my thigh bones in. Lean forward, pull back, turn in. Turn out, I come down. Turn in, I go up. Okay, so show that again. Lean chest forward, pull hips back, turn in. Lean chest forward, turn in as I pull the hips back. Okay, show you the other side. Give you some playtime. Lean chest forward, pull hips back, turn thigh bones in. When I turn the legs out, my hips swing down and I fall onto my butt. When I turn my legs in, my hips rise up, especially the top one. Really stick your bum up and turn your thigh bones in. Like stick your back buttocks up, pull it back and up, and turn the top leg in all at once. Now, if this is just not happening for you today, don't worry. What you could do is just work on this here. Very simple. You lean your chest forward and turn the leg in. Some of you will be able to straighten the leg out. You could even do this all on the ground, more or less, without ever lifting your hips up. It's just a matter of placing your hands, placing your hands back. Placing your hands forward, leaning forward, turning the legs in, and letting the chest go down. Okay, this left shoulder tends to dip. Pull the shoulder up. Requires some flexibility there, of course. You could, I assume, I've actually never done this, so let me just thinking out loud here. Okay, this is too high. One block. One block. My only worry is the tailbone coming down on the block, so I think a bolster is a much better bet. Oh, you could actually just put your outer hip there. It's nice. But I would put a bolster underneath, not a block, because if you come down, especially when you're learning, obviously you would be using a bolster because you're learning. So chances are you're going to come down on your butt hard. And I wouldn't want you to be on a cork block, especially. Your tailbone would hit that and feel uncomfortable. So definitely, if you want to boost your hips a little bit, put yourself up on a cushion. But I definitely try this before. Try it without the lift before anything, because you might surprise yourself that if you just lean your chest forward, you have to bring your chest way past your hands for this. Lean forward, pull the hips back, turn the top leg in, and you might find that you get a lot more lift off than you anticipated. And just a little tidbit on the shoulder, I did mention this, that the shoulder tends to press down and put a lot of pressure at the anterior capsule of the joint. Really pull the shoulder head, especially really the one that's bearing weight. The one that's free, it's gonna dip down. If you do feel pressure at the front of the shoulder, then do pick it up. But the one that's bearing weight is the one that's most concerning, I think, because obviously weight bearing and pushing it into this position is not as ideal anytime you're bearing weight. If you're kind of get it pressed into your joints, it's not great. I'll take a moment and just see if there's any questions about that. Okay, and then I do want to get into one flexibility posture as we get into as we wind down. That also gets also is very helpful when your internal rotators are strong. But first, we do need to stretch a little bit here. So what you're going to do is take open-legged Janu Shirshasana, so hips wide, knees wide, rather than closed like tree pose, and then bow forward towards the center. So this is my center here. I'm bowing over the foot. And then as you bow forward, keep your right kneecap facing straight up and your right toes facing straight up. Don't go to your deepest extent, of course. Just go to a comfortable level of stretch that's tolerable, but is still, giving you a little bit of length. Right? You still want to feel that stretch sensation a bit. Come on up and come towards regular Janu Shirshasana this way, but turn your right leg out, toes face out, lean back with your hands, and let's warm up the inner thighs a little bit, doing some externally rotated hip flexions. Okay, try to get your adductors awake as if they're not already, but we always can use a little bit more when we stretch. Okay, and then open the Janu Shirshasana up again and take the right arm to the inside. It could be on a block. Turn your chest and stretch your left arm over or hand to the back of the head and press the head back. I'm going to read this question. Can't get the upper leg straight, probably not leaning forward enough. Well, if it's just the straightening that's not happening, it's just likely that you're not, I mean, they're always gonna be slightly bent. They have to be slightly bent. But what straightens it out is actually internally rotating the leg. That's what gets the upper leg straight. Okay, so turn in, then kick and turn in. It's this action, okay? Turn in and kick, which is actually what we're doing in this next pose, turning in and kicking. So side bending here. Okay, come on up. Switch wide-legged Janu Shirshasana with the right heel to the groin. First, we bow to the center. Come on up. And again, regular Janu Shirshasana, more like tree. Turn the left leg out, and then we, with the leg turned out, do leg lifts. Okay, back to wide-legged Janu Shirshasana. Over to the side, side bend. And come on up. Okay, still feeling like in my body, hamstrings need a little bit of warming up. So let's come into here into cobbler's pose and push the heels into each other, and you'll feel the inner thighs. And if you get the outer heels kind of pushing into each other, you might get a little bit of the buttocks. Let's just warm up the inner thighs and buttocks a little bit here by pushing the inner and outer heels towards each other, engaging them here, and then we'll do some hamstring strengthening or heating in a moment. Okay, release, take the block, come to all fours, place the block between your calf and hamstring, squeeze the block, posterior tilt the pelvis, rounding the upper back, and let's pulse, getting the hamstrings awake. A little internal rotation as you pulse, squeeze the block, wake up the hamstrings. Okay, switch block to the right, squeeze the block, hip extension, internal rotation, a little posterior tilt, now pulse, keep squeezing the block as you pulse. Squeeze the block, pelvis more or less level. Okay, now let's take our socks, put them back on for a moment. I feel I really want to make sure that our adductor magnus and hamstrings are appropriately warmed up before we do this last pose. Okay, step off of your yoga mat or roll it up, however you want to do it. Feet wide enough for, let's just hold toes turned out here for a moment and press the feet down and squeeze in, and you should feel the adductor magnus, the back of the groins here and the hamstrings active because your toes are turned out and your feet are wide. And of course, to keep them from slipping outward, you have to press down and in, and that's going to activate the hamstrings and adductor magnus, which is perfect for what we're doing next, which will be stretching those muscles. So now keep pulling, pressing down and pulling in as you slowly bend the knees out to the sides. Keep pressing down and squeezing in. I don't think I said that wrong. Turning out, pressing down, squeezing in. Turning out, pressing down, squeezing in. Turning out, pressing down, squeezing in. Now shift a little bit of your weight to your left leg. Press down, squeeze in. Shift a little bit of weight to your right leg without really bending much. Just shift your torso, your hips, and press down, squeeze in. Come back to center, press down, squeeze in. Straighten the legs as you squeeze in. Keep holding, breath in. Bend the knees out to the sides, squeeze in, slow movement. Straighten, squeezing in as you straighten. Bend, keep squeezing in. Straighten. Now heel toe, turn the toes inward. Maybe a little wider stance with your feet. Fingertips to the ground. Squeeze in with the thighs turned in. Bend the elbows out to the side. Keep drawing in with the legs. My legs are shaking. Warming up, babe. Yes. Okay, half lift. Bring the legs in. And let's sit on down. Okay. Away we roll, here we go. So you bring your left leg in, heel to the groin. And what we'll do is we'll lean to our left hip. Let's go. So lean to the left hip like this and take your right arm underneath as if we're going to do that arm balance again. Now with your left arm, grab the outer edge of your right foot. Lean all the way to your left foot so your right fingertips are on the ground and your right butt comes up off the ground. Now pull thigh bone back as much as you can. And now any amount that you can, so you see my left shoulder here is not out to the side. I'm pulling left shoulder and elbow back. And against that, I lift my right butt, turn my right thigh bone in. And as I turn the right thigh bone in, I'm still pulling with my left arm. Now you might stop here or anywhere with the bent knee. Some of you will turn the leg in enough that you'll be able to come into compass pose. Okay. Now obviously, you want to be very mindful in moving into your flexibility here. So you don't want to overdo this or over push yourself into flexibility. What you do want to do is work on your internal rotation strength, which can be done here, right? With a bent knee completely. Okay, so if you, wherever you are, come on out of that. So it doesn't matter if the leg is straight or moving towards straight, just in that direction while rotating the thigh bone in and keeping the shoulder plugged back in the shoulder socket. It'll tend to kind of get bullied by the leg, get pulled out. We want to pull the shoulder back the whole time. Give the leg something to kick into. Okay, when it has resistance, it'll be able to kick in and be easier for it. If it doesn't have resistance to kick into, then you won't have the right muscles engaged. Okay, to the other side. Again, we start like we're going to do the arm balance. Ashtavakrasana is the name of the arm balance. And you take once the leg is over, you flex the foot and grab the foot here. Now we got to pull the right shoulder back and elbow with it. Okay, so you have a nice strong resistance. Right now the left leg is in external rotation. Lean to your right hip as much as you can to elevate the left hip off the ground. Spin the left thigh bone in. You'll see the foot will go out as a result. And then pull the arm in tight. Lift your left hip, turn the left leg in, and maybe it starts to straighten as you turn in, but keep your right shoulder back. Okay, come on out of your compass pose. Let's do one even posture. We'll do a straddle. Groins back. I usually start with a little internal rotation of the thighs while the toes stay facing up, and bow forward.
And if you feel a deep stretch in the adductors, then you probably want to back off just a bit and learn to engage them to turn that stretch sensation off. So if you back off a little bit, then you can pull your thigh bones into the hip sockets and towards each other. So pull the shins towards each other and pull the femur heads back into the hip sockets like a vacuum.
Okay, and rise all the way up. And let's prepare ourselves for Shavasana. Legs are shaking. Since I have socks here, I'm going to put them on. So, happy baby or any twist if you like, anything that feels right to cool down the rest of the way. Get yourself prepped for Shavasana. awareness now back to your breath. Awaken the fingers and toes and stretch the arms. Roll to your side. Come up to a seated position. Place the hands to heart center. And with gratitude for this body, this practice, and this community, we bow. Thank you all so much. Namaste. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this one. And looking forward to sharing the final one with you with the external rotators of the hip. And once again, if you haven't yet checked out the shoulder mobility immersion, we begin November 5th. And use the code IDIDHIPMOBILITY to get an extra $10 off of whatever the current price is. You want to make sure you grab it before November 5th in order to get the pre-sale discount. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Vicky. Appreciate it. Steph, thanks. Adriana, thank you. Christine, thank you. Jackie, thank you. Ada, thank you. Mikhail, thanks so much. And, well, I guess we'll be seeing each other. I think Halloween is on Monday when we practice, so I'll say happy Halloween then. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Loved it. Great. You were dreading it. Good, good. All right, everybody. Have a good day.